Hello, and welcome to another episode of TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen, episode number 653, coming to you live from somewhere, nowhere, Singapore. We are here at the end of day one, and I have a frog in my throat like no other. Excuse me, sorry. We are here at the end of day one. It is 4 o'clock in the morning. I fell asleep at like 6 p.m. and slept all the way to almost midnight. And now I am like up and ready and charged. I went for a long walk to try to go find some food. Ended up finding an amazing Indian restaurant that got me fed and feeling fat. I will say I ate the heck out of some vindaloo tonight and some butter chicken and some cheese prata. And oh my God, it was just delicious. And then, or cheese parm and cheese naan. Oh my God, cheese naan is amazing with butter. Yeah, don't even get me started on that. But day one of Super AI was an awesome time. This was a chance for us to come out as a sponsor at an AI event and just be a sponsor in general, sort of to show our face for the first time publicly. So it was really different because, usually I'm representing companies or I'm working with companies that everyone knows is on the tip of everyone's tongue. This has been something that has been brewing for a while and building. And so finally being able to showcase it to the world, and talk about what we're doing at the Lifted Initiative, what we're doing at Manifest Network and within our ecosystem. And like I get to hang out with some of the most amazing people on the face of the planet. All right. Yes. Did I get to hang out with Eric Voorhees? Yep, I did. But what was even cooler is I got to sit and eat barbecue with Eric Voorhees' dad. That's how intimate and sort of like builder it is and builder centric and focused. And, Super AI, it's been a crazy day. They even had Edward Snowden live on a panel, via telecommunications, but, that's how big of a role AI sort of has, and especially in the ideas of combating deep fakes and everything along those lines. So it's really interesting to see when people sort of, say that AI is fake or like that it's going to take their job. Closed source AI is what's, in my opinion, is the issue. ChatGPT, don't get me wrong, is amazing. Great UI, perfect UI. They are killing it. They are crushing it. But when we have states, literally like state of California or India, that are telling people the amount of GPUs they can have is just over like 6 PlayStations, that they can't be trusted with open source AI because who knows what they'll do with it, that only big tech companies can properly give people the guidance for AI or properly guide AI in what people should or shouldn't know. It's a really interesting piece there. So, one of the last things I got to do in Austin before heading to Singapore was David Johnston invited me to his house to literally just pick up merch to bring because we had Decentralized AI Day in Austin during Consensus. So I needed to pick up a bunch of shirts, bags, and socks to bring with me here to Singapore. And it wasn't just like, meet me in the driveway, be off on your way. It was like, hey, come in, don't mind the mess, 5 kids, all of that stuff. They're up sleeping. Hey, do you want to watch Godzilla with us as we're, finishing it? I'm like, yeah. I'll be honest, I was a dork and I'd been wanting to watch Godzilla -0 or -1 for a minute. And I will give Godzilla -1 a -1 on rating. Storyline was hilarious. But just like in the blockchain community, of the builders and the founders and stuff like that, it's the same thing in AI. Because, what it really boils down to is cryptography. And some of these people have been in the trenches for a lot longer than any of us, like we thought we were cool in 2009 learning about Bitcoin, being one of 8 people to use it. I thought I was cool in 2012 when I learned about it, and I thought I had a mathematical proof to do good, that it was better to do good. But I got to listen to some of the stories, I guess you would call them war stories, how in like the 90s, cryptography, encryption, not even like high-end stuff, but 128-bit encryption, the same thing you use as a password to get into your phone was considered munitions by the US government, because it was encryption. Nothing should be encrypted because then people could hide things, and so the idea behind that was like, no, it's open source, build it. So what's really cool, one of the stories I got to hear that I've been talking about a few times over the past few days, is how they would print out, pages of books of the algorithm of the code itself, and bind it and put it and turn it into a book, and then go through customs and like declare it and be like, hey, like we were told that this might be munitions, but we don't know. And, customs being customs is like, oh, it's a book, it's written paper. It's, no, you're fine. And then what's really hilarious, I don't even want to know if I want to call it hilarious, but serious, was they would then write out that 400 plus pages of lines upon lines of code. They would retype it out in batches and stuff like that. And so that's what like the early cryptographers were doing in the 90s. And now we have states like California that are doing the same thing of limiting the amount of access that you should have to AI, that open source AI is an enemy. I know I sound tinfoily hatty and stuff like that, and I apologize, but just like we have taken that stance in crypto, in blockchain, not my keys, not my crypto. What it really means is not my keys, not mine. Because we say crypto, but it means so much more of what you can do with it, and with a cryptographic signature. You're proving ownership of data. We talk about that data, the ones and zeros, so to speak, representing dollars and cents, JPEGs, everything in between, a song, your identification on chain, all sorts of different things. By you being able to sign with your wallet, there's so many things that you're able to do that prove it's yours, proof of ownership, And so we're seeing a lot of cool things grow out of that. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there was about 150 projects worth of booths at Super AI. I got to listen to a lot of them today as they sent their delegates around to all the other booths, and I'll be going to all of the other booths tomorrow. But what a lot of AI projects are doing right now is they're taking a shortcut because they don't want to push any boundaries, or they don't have access to GPUs and stuff like that. They're just using ChatGPT-4 APIs. And so the thing about closed source that OpenAI ChatGPT represents is when everyone's sort of talking about, hey, AI is going to take your job. Well, when you're using ChatGPT to do your job or create content or anything, you are literally training ChatGPT how to do your job. One of the biggest ideas behind ChatGPT is, being able to speed up what you're doing, making life easier. That's the idea. It's not supposed to be a replacement. Someone asked me a funny question of what I think would happen if all LLMs and machine learning was gone today. I would, my first answer was, there'd be a lot less news articles, and, there might be some flavor back in them rather than everything sort of just being handwritten by like Quill or Claude or something like that. But just think 2.5 years ago, we didn't have any of this, publicly. Like, did we have some LLMs that we were building in the back end that we were playing with and teaching and having fun with? Yeah, but we were doing serious stuff because that's sort of what we thought. But the access to GPU was always that limiting factor. NVIDIA's done a great job on sort of throttling and keeping that demand up high. And before even demand is saturated with what they have out currently, they already have 2 new models out, so talk about, that's somehow even better than what they put out before by leaps and bounds. It was part of a conversation tonight that sort of talked about, they were going a little far off. They were saying by 2030, we'll have a ChatGPT that was leaps and bounds from like ChatGPT 2 to ChatGPT 4. That's what it will look like between 4 and whatever happens in 2030. The leap and bound there. I think that leap and bound personally will be happening next year. So it's one of those things to where, do I say don't go use ChatGPT? No. If everyone's using a tool, go use a tool. Don't hamper yourself, but find other tools at the same time. Like I was saying earlier, I've gotten to start, work with Eric Voorhees on Venice.ai. Open source LLMs, LAMs, generative art, and CodeGen. And so you have all of those things there that are open source, so where you can see the bias. There's been crazy things showing in crypto Twitter of people asking ChatGPT to show something, and ChatGPT says, "Oh, it goes against our norms." Like someone was, I think literally it was the day Trump was found guilty, and they gave it a prompt of show Trump being found guilty in front of a judge, and it said this goes against our norms. And our standards and stuff like that. You're trying, people are trying to get real life imagery, or simulated imagery. And someone else said, no, you can't have it. So I would ask that you give Venice.ai a chance, give it a look, give it a twirl. It's free. You don't even have to sign up or anything. If you want to, you can connect your wallet and sign with your wallet, which is really cool. And if you have one more token from Morpheus, if you have one more token, you can get the entire Venice Pro for free. You don't have to sell the more token. You don't have to stake it if you're just holding it, which is really crazy. But then at the same time, if you want to go the more traditional route, you can pay $49 for a year rather than I think it's like $25 a month with ChatGPT. So there's some really cool things that are building out that are working to keep yours. And I ask that you sort of take the time to sort of look at them. I know it's not shiny and cool, and it's not, when ticker goes up type of thing. Fair launches are never really super shiny. Is there a lot of FOMO behind them? Yeah, we have over $500 million, just over $500 million worth of staked ETH in our protocol. Now, that's not an easy feat by any means, but one of the things that's really cool about it is it doesn't put any of your ETH at risk. It's still your ETH. These are people that have delegated their ETH via Lido, that instead of them getting the emissions and earning more on their staked ETH, those emissions are going to the liquidity pool and earning you token at the same time. So your money is working for you. So we worked really hard on different prongs to defeat the Howey test. And so the fact that we have the SEC having sit down, on their agenda to talk about AI. Why is the SEC looking to put AI as a security in any way, shape, or form? Why is the SEC looking to regulate AI in any way? So there's just a lot of weird stuff going on politically that I ask that people sort of keep their head on their shoulders about. Don't worry about the crazy people. There's crazy people on both sides of the aisle. But please be aware of what the SEC is doing, what California is doing with Senate Bill 1047, limiting access to open source. There's a reason why 90% of all hardware is written on Linux, because it's open source. There's a reason that 70% of all phones in the world are running Android, because it's open source. The number one thing that Sam Altman did to take ChatGPT from being a generational headline to a footnote of eternity was making it closed source, and no longer looking to be part of the community. When you starve yourself from a community, it never ends well. You might do well for a little bit. Like we see this happen all the time in dystopian movies and stuff like that, where some bad guy that, thinks he's king has his own little city and, brings prosperity and everything like that. But because he closed himself off to the rest of the world, and wanted to do his own little thing, soon dying and, withering away. I don't mean to go Hollywood on you, but that's sort of the thing. So I have with me this huge bag of things, of paperwork, basically, that I get to read on my way home. And this is just from half the booths that were around me. I'm super excited for it. I got to see a lot of people that I've known on the blockchain conference circuit, and they were like, "Oh, wait, what are you doing here? Wait, you're sitting behind a booth. Are you just sitting there?" And I get to sort of tell them what we're doing with the Lifted initiative, what we're doing with Manifest. Like the fact that we have $270 million in our treasury, from a bear market, and we have partnerships with over 150 projects that, like, my goal is to get it to 1,000 by the end of 2025. I know it's not going to happen, but I made a goal. I made a moonshot goal, because I want to get to a point eventually where instead of me having to chase down projects are chasing me down. Because I think that the value that we provide on the infrastructure side is going to become apparent really soon. Some of the really cool conversations I got to have today was with IO.net. And we sort of talked about some of the issues they've had over the last, couple months, and the FUD and stuff like that, of the idea of what they're trying to present, how they're presenting it. And then people that don't understand everything make absurd comments that sort of just don't really provide any value other than to try to push their own agenda. So it's a really interesting take to sort of see that people will try to take down good stuff to push their own agenda. And this, it's not like it's anything new. I apologize if I'm sounding a little naive on that. And I'm not, I'm not. But I got to meet some of the Salesforce team today, the CRM tool. They're using a huge piece of AI. But they're just using ChatGPT. They're using a ChatGPT API until they build out their own LLM. Who knows when they'll do that, But I let them turn me into a Viking today. I guess the way I was standing, or however, the AI chose out of all the different formats that it, prompts that it chose Viking. So maybe from the red beard. I don't know, but I thought I looked really good. I thought that was really fun. But one of the really cool projects that I got to meet today, and I'm going to be deep diving with them as well, but Leonardo.ai. Some of the things they have within the Tweakits, and adding motion to pictures and just having some cool stuff, I think is really awesome. Super excited to see what they build out. It's just cool. If you get a chance, go check out Leonardo.ai. Got to talk with a ton of other projects that, we're going to either have on the show or join our ecosystem. And I'm just super excited for day 2. That is sort of it right now. There was nothing really that stood out like, oh my God. But other than just amazing people building some really cool stuff. Teleport's doing 3 different art installations with Super AI, which is really cool. Changing AI imagery, sort of like the AI dream that's built in the MoMA, Museum of Modern Art, that the art piece changes based on your pulse, based off of finger meters and stuff like that. And so that's sort of really interesting to see. And I was having a little bit of fun biohacking the pulse out to, do certain things. So that was really fun. But like I said, we're going to go through. We're not going to go through any LP positions. It is 4:30 in the morning almost, and I have to be up in 3 hours to be at the conference for another amazing full day. And that's what I want to do. So I apologize, everyone, so much for calling it short because, we have positions. One of my favorite platforms is Step Finance, which sort of lets you show everything that you have going on in Solana, where all your tokens are sort of farmed out, So I'm farming tokens and doing LPing at like Frankum, Solend, Drift, MarginFi, Parcel, Camino, Hawksite, Meteora, voting Jupiter, so delegated Jupe, some staking perp stuff on Jupiter, Pith, Orca, Radium, and Sanctum. So there's some really cool protocols out there where we'll be able to sort of travel and see what we're doing on that LP side. So there's some Degen stuff, and we're seeing some really cool stuff. I don't know why. They've been around for a minute, but I actually just found them this morning. But Solana, I love saying that. Solana, Mike Tyson, they put out a new video, the Thong Thong. And this morning was the first time I heard it, learned about them. And as soon as I listened to the song, I went and bought a bag just because I love that one song, and went to their site then and found that they've actually been making content for a little bit, which is sort of hilarious. And it's just sort of getting better and better, and sort of, I love it when devs grow and with their community, and sort of that you see their content change at the same time. But I ended up giving the song to the DJ at Super AI. And so like in the middle of the day, I was out grabbing some coffee, and all of a sudden I started to hear the Mike Tyson remix Thong Thong. And if you get a chance, go and listen to it. It is hilarious. Don't buy a bag based off of any advice. I literally went and bought a bag just because I love the effort that they put into making that music video. And that was sort of like, I'm like, that's worth the entertainment value for me. I'm easily entertained. I give away shit because I find it, I get laughs out of it. And what I tell everyone all the time, if you're not having fun here, maybe not here. Let me know what I can do to help you find where your fun is. That's what I want, because this is a long-term thing. This isn't ending tomorrow. This isn't ending with any new regulation. Blockchain is here to stay. It's immutable and censorship resistant, and a lot of it's permissionless. And so you can do whatever you want. And that's one of the great things about blockchain. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight on Player One Taco YouTube, LinkedIn, 0xDegens YouTube, Twitch, Telegram, Twitter, Rumble, Kick, Unlonely, On-Chain via Base, and then a huge shout out to Solana Media Tech, Sol Media Tech, launching on-chain there as well. And we will see you all tomorrow. We might do some live interviews live from the conference. We're not going to probably do it as a Twitter space, but just a Twitter video. So check in, see what we're doing tomorrow, and we hope you have a great, wonderful day. And as we end every space the same way, with our words of wisdom and the greatest, worst knock-knock joke on the face of the planet. As we've ended this episode 652 times so far the same exact way, we might as well make it 653. But as always, a closed mouth cannot be fed. You cannot feed a closed mouth, meaning if no one knows you're looking for opportunity can never come and knock it. If opportunity does come knocking and no one answers, it's going to keep on walking. With that, I want to give a huge shout out and thanks to everyone joining us. Huge shout out and love in all my heart to Liam. And I hope everyone has a great day, night, wherever you are. GM. But with that, we end with the greatest, worst knock-knock joke on the face of the planet, and that is knock knock. Who's there?